stayed with it, and it was more educated, the likes of Edison and things like that, playing centre midfield, and that's now the model to go by. So sometimes I think there's a reluctance for people to almost go in the goal, because you might not ever come out if you get the wrong coach. So for me, on the recreation side, we try to, you've got kids that will tell you, hey, I only want to eat chicken nuggets for dinner every day of the week. Now, as adults, we have to go, you know what? Hey, I love that you found something that you enjoy. However, we need to have a balanced diet. So yes, you're gonna get your chicken nuggets some days of the week, but on other days of the week, you're gonna play right wing or left back or striker. So I think the younger we are, obviously, we want to spread the workload. So I think our under 9s and under 10s, 7v7, we're looking for it to probably be between, whether it's the whole team sort of spreads it out. Maybe you've got 4 goalkeepers that really kind of have a liking to it, and you play a half each over 2 games. As we get a little bit older into 9v9, U11s and 12s, we're probably looking at, maybe you've got a keeper that loves the position, is really specialized. Maybe they're playing a half of a game, and then that second half is being shared throughout the team. So we sort of give guidance around that. What we don't want is a team, especially at the younger ages, grabbing a kid, throwing him in the goal and going, Wes, you are 6 foot tall at 7 years old. You are our goalkeeper. And he doesn't want to do it, right? And then even if they do want to do it, there has to be some education around, hey, you're going to get that, but we want to round you out at the same time.
Yeah. And by the way, shout out to Luca, who's watching this in Italy. And, I think I love hearing of different people watching, this show from all over the world, because we all have a different point of view culturally in regards to the position, in regards to the game. And I think we're all trying to share different experiences that we've all had. Wesley, obviously, South African background and everything like that. I'm sure you didn't just specialize in just goalkeeping. I'm sure there were a few other sports. I'm guessing there was some rugby at some point in your life, and you're showing right here 2 goalkeepers that went on to play at the highest level, who did not specialize in goalkeeping or even soccer for that matter at the very beginning. They focused on other sports, and yet they still got to that highest level. How do you really stress this to the parents of these 8, 9, 10-year-olds who spend 17 hours on private training a week, and when their kid wants to go to swimming, they go, no, you've got goalkeeper training?
Yeah, no, I mean, and myself and Mike, had the same viewpoint. Like I always encourage multiple sports. We stress, it's also, different things. And we always talk about the burnout of players that we try and avoid, but there's so many good things that can come out of playing multiple sports. I played rugby, and everyone got bigger than me, so I had to figure out something else. And then I played a bit of cricket as well. But soccer is what stuck. So playing multiple sports should be encouraged. Hours and hours of specialized training, is it beneficial? It could be, but I think we need to encourage multiple sports. And the specialization, there's pros and cons to both. It's the environment, the level, all different things that go into it. I don't think there's a one size fits all for it.
So Andrew, I have a question for you here. Obviously, as you've put this together, just in a general aspect, I've noticed that you've kept the deck very simple. Is that intentional? So that, because I see a lot of times when I see presentations, it's so wordy, and it's like, I'm so focused on trying to read what's going on that I'm not listening to the presenters.
Yeah, I think for me, I most people I speak to these days are very visual, and I love to see pictures and images and things like that. So trying to find things, obviously the Hope Solo and the Matthew Turner, those are ones that I kind of knew about, but as I dug more into them, I was like, whoa, it was like the Hope Solo one. I had no clue that she was I think she was a striker, right? I think in college or something. It was just like, wow, even more impressive. The Matthew Turner one's a little bit more recent. So yeah, for me, just visual, allow the conversation to flow. And the preparation for this, there really wasn't an awful lot of prep. It was more find a question, pick the topic, and let these guys discuss it. And the one thing for me, going back to that specialization one, I didn't know, but I remember having a female goalkeeper, and she played volleyball. That was her other sport that she did. And I just remember high balls in the younger girls' game were always interesting, and she would just pluck balls that I thought were going 10 feet over her head, out like go gadget arms. But I think Wes and Mike sort of educated me that maybe basketball's a better synchronized fit in terms of a multi-sport and all that type of stuff. So these were things that I learned, and like I said, the discussion just sort of went based on the topic.
You know, Wesley, I thought about that actually too, in regards to when you're putting together this program for, you know, especially for the rec program, where you're talking about maybe some team coaches who didn't play soccer themselves. You know, they grew up playing different sports. Do you utilize that to try to explain to them, like, so this is kind of like when you're blah, blah, blah and blah, blah, blah. So they kind of get the picture?
Always. You know, I always reference other sports. Even when I talk to my goalkeepers, sometimes I reference a quarterback, you know, position. And when the quarterback receives the ball, for instance, like an in-possession moment, they're now solving problems and scanning for the best option. I sometimes use that analogy, and sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't, because then we get into, oh, well, what team do you support? And did you see the game? And now we're off topic, but we have some fun with it. But I always try and use analogies from other sports. You know, basketball is a very footwork oriented sport that I think is similar to goalkeeping that can help. So, you know, I think I have a goalkeeper on the female side that is probably one of the top basketball players in her region at goalkeeper training. And I try and encourage her to use some attributes she brings over from it and say, yeah, just like that, you know, and she loves it because now it's a different attribute of something else she does that also we're now showing interest in. So.
Yeah, you know, and I think you just brought up such a great point. And Andrew, you know, obviously you working at the recreational level, my guess is that a lot of these young kids are playing because they're experimenting, they're exploring, they're probably playing 4 or 5 different sports at a time, you know, season to season, you know, kind of the traditional old American model of like, it's fall, so you play blah, blah, blah. In the winter, you play this, and the spring, you play this, as opposed to just the specialization at such a young age. You know, do you feel that when you're talking about integrating the goalkeeper, a lot of times these younger team coaches start being like, no, don't do that. Goalkeepers are supposed to move like this, or goalkeepers are supposed to catch the ball like this. And then these kids almost get out coached of their abilities.
Yeah, I think we're guilty of that in probably all positions, but especially in goalkeeping. You know, you've got one dad that played in goal 40 years ago, and now he's the expert on goalkeeping, which I think for any of us trying to tell someone you need to do it like this, we have to be careful, because maybe there's a better way of doing it than maybe what we know or how we do it. But yeah, I think the one thing with integration, I think the big thing that we always see is that I'm not a part of the union. Like I said, I got very close as a sweeper moving back there, but they're always a group that's off by themselves, and I've never been brought in, which I appreciate you bringing me in now. But yeah, I think it's something where we want them to feel a part of the team, and obviously we talk about the specialization. The younger everyone should be a part of that goal.
Hey, Sask.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. Lots of fun things going on.
That's good. How you feeling?
I'm feeling much better. I'll tell you more about it off the air, but some really exciting stuff for.
Well, that's good.
Us, for everything.
Lovely.
Yes. Happy about this weather. Are you in
I'm
in Palm Springs?
Not next this weekend. So this
it's gonna
weekend,
it's gonna be like 95 degrees.
That's what I heard.
I know.
Yeah, I'm heading out there for the holidays. I Passover and Easter are basically at the exact same time, so that's why I'm heading out there.
Did you feel a need to have to tell me that?
I don't know. I don't know where I am right now.
Didn't that start
I've been taking all these classes,
though?
so my brain is fried. I think it did. I think it started either last night or the night before.
No, I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you.
What was I going to say? I was going to say though that there was something I was going to say. Oh, shout out to you, by the way. Literally every NWSL clip that's out there has you doing some sort of breakdown or commentary.
I said to Shannon, I was looking at it and I go, oh my gosh, it's so funny. I look at a clip and it's me. No, it's really fun, and it'll get better and better, and the more reps, and my rant about that penalty kick was a good one. So did you see that
my
one,
gosh, you
Carolina?
went all over the place. Oh yeah, I know
I was
exactly
so
the one you're
upset
talking about.
because I was like, I'm a goalkeeper.
You can't do that. Meanwhile, it's getting harder for us. They're not.
I mean, they might as well not even put a goalkeeper in the net at this point with all the rules against goalkeepers. But yet you're going to let, I mean, she basically stopped, had a tea break, and then started again to the point that Caitlin Sheridan got totally thrown off her rhythm. Like you saw
completely.
Sheridan come to a full stand, which once you're in a full stand, where are you going to go? You know what I mean? Like she was off her rhythm with it. And I've always been a proponent that should be called on anybody taking a penalty kick. Like I understand the stutter step, but it's gone so far to the point that you know, and the rule is that it's not technically that you can't stop your forward momentum, but it can't be, and I'm going to use the wrong term. It can't be like unsportsmanlike, but that's not the right term in the laws for it. It can't be an extended pause, right? So it can be like your upper bottom momentum can still be moving and all of that, but it can't be like a hard stop, you know, let the goalkeeper fall down and then I'm going to take the penalty kick. So, I had to go on a rant. I had to live. We're talking about the penalty kick against Caitlin Sheridan this weekend that I kind of had a meltdown about. So, because she can't, because whatchamacallit came to an absolute full stop on her stutter step and then shot. And I was like, that's illegal. Somebody's got to call that. I'm like,
oh my. All right, guys, let's get this going. Here we go. I am muted, Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California. I was totally muted right there, wasn't I, when I said welcome to Inside the 18? Did you guys not hear me right there?
No, you're just having a bad connection for like the first time ever.
Yeah, it's a little slow.
Really?
But no, we did not hear that first part. But that's okay.
Yeah.
You're now.
Okay. Am I still slow right now? Am I still slow right now?
Fine.
Or is it get I'm getting better. Okay, guys, the voices you're hearing right there, if you're not watching this and you're listening to the audio right now, 99 World Cup winner, NWSL analyst Saskia Weber, and joining us, a lot of NWSL going on today. We have Racing Louisville goalkeeper Olivia Sekany. Wow, that must feel nice to hear that, huh?
It definitely does. It's pretty cool. Not gonna lie, still not quite used to it, but it feels pretty good.
I love it.
I mean, so first off, you know, Saskia, congratulations. Obviously, you know, you've started, you know, the all the games and everything like that with NWSL and CBS and Paramount Plus. Before we kind of get to live here, both of you guys kind of have new experiences going on. Why don't you kind of share just kind of, I know you've been doing some stuff regionally with Bally Sports West and, you know, obviously great stuff over there, but tell us a little bit about that experience just this past weekend.
Oh, it's incredible. You know, my head's going to explode. I haven't studied so much until I was at Rutgers. So it's like, but it's great. And it's, you know, it was great to do my first 2 games with JP. I mean, JP used to call my games. So not to age you, buddy, but that's true. And, you know, it's just moving from Bally Sports where it was regional, where I was, you know, my focus was on Angel City, now to do like all the games and really dive into like all the players on all the teams even more, where like Bally Sport we're kind of get to be pro Angel City. It's fun. It's exciting. It's, you know, something I've always wanted to do, and just excited my next game 19th, and you know, and it's a good thing. I'm in a happy place. I'm still pissed off about Carolina's PK, but that's okay. But any goalkeeper gets it, and I'm sitting there.
Yeah.
And we were ranting about it before we went on, but I just for the amount of rules that are against the goalkeeper at this point on a PK, it's like, come on, like, you know, you have to call the full stop on the stutter step. Like, you have to, because the only thing we have as goalkeepers is the ability to have some, like, whether you have some movement, like we all do. You're not just like stuck in cement on a PK. So you have that hop, you have that timing with their run up, even if it's a stutter step, come to a full stop, have a cup of tea and stuff like that, and then shoot. It's, you know, when you saw it in Kaylin, who's, you know, obviously one of the best goalkeepers in the world, she totally came totally upright. Where do you go from there? You know, she couldn't even dive after that.
Yeah.
It should have been called.
But how do you
I'm
really
sticking
feel,
by
Sus? How do you feel,
I'm
really,
sticking by it.
honestly?
Still upset about it.
I mean, I don't know if Liv wants to throw her 2 cents in there, but she probably wants to just keep her mouth closed right now, since she just got this. But for shout out to you. Not only did you sign your first professional contract, but also you were on the bench this weekend. I mean, my gosh, what an experience for you. Why don't you catch up everybody on what kind of happened since we last saw you at convention during the draft?
Oh, so much has happened. So many things, but no. So last time we talked, it was the day after the draft. Didn't end up getting drafted. Didn't get my name called, which, you know, sucked. But like we talked about on the pod, like everybody's journey starts a little bit differently, and the draft is so competitive this year, and there were so many good players. So, you know, had some things in the works, but actually like didn't have any idea that this is where I'd be coming at that point. And that was a Friday, I think. And then on Monday, I got a call from Sergio, or I got a text from Sergio Gonzalez, who's the goalkeeper coach, here at Racing Louisville. And he had actually recruited me back when I was in the portal. He was at Indiana, and I was at in the transfer portal. And he shot me a text that morning and said, "Hey, Liv, this is Sergio. I'm at Racing Louisville. We would love to talk to you about coming in preseason with us." And I was like, "Heck yeah, for sure, right?" So that was the Monday after the draft, and we spoke on the phone, and it sounded like a great opportunity, and I was super stoked on it. And he was like, you know, all of our preseason stuff starts this coming Monday, so a week from that day. So could you get here by then? And I said, "Yep."
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I only had a one-way ticket to New Jersey.
Yeah, for those not familiar, I bought a one-way ticket out to New Jersey to train because I didn't know where I was going. But yeah, so I was like, I don't got anywhere else to be. So sure. Why not? So I trained the rest of that week, packed up all my stuff, flew to Louisville on Sunday. And then that Monday morning had our preseason meetings and started, you know, conditioning testing and training the following Tuesday. And that was I think our first day was January 22nd. And then, I've been in preseason since then, and then ended up signing contract, and I'm not sure how much detail you want me to go into as far as that.
I mean, you don't have to give the figures or anything like that on the air. You're like,
no, I just meant the process. No, I wasn't planning on divulging.
But you know, the funny thing is we talked about in the podcast at convention, we talked about, look, you never know, like there are only so many spots each team has to do their drafting, and we had a feeling that you're going to get a call, you know, as a goalkeeper that would happen. I mean, I even called you to send you to Sweden, I think it was, or something.
Yeah, you did.
But still, I think, you know, it's just indicative, like, of people that are in a draft that might not get drafted. That doesn't close the door.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I mean, and that's just such a great point right there. You know, Liv, obviously, is that, you know, and today's episode is going to be about going on trial, because I think not just, you know, for yourself, you know, going at the professional level, but I think for a lot of young players out there who go into environments that are brand new to them. They're not on the roster. They don't know how this is going to work out. A lot of it is a mental health issue. How did you handle that aspect of it? Just the mental health of staying balanced and calm throughout the process.
It was tough. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was tough. The one thing that is nice about like the whole NWSL process is like, I mean, in a lot of ways, I went in there on equal footing with the draftees. Like, because nobody, even when you're drafted, you're not offered a contract right away. Right. And so all of us went in there, and there were 4 draftees, and all 5 of us were just like, well, we're here. We're going to do our best and compete for a spot. And so that was definitely helpful. I didn't feel like I was just like totally by myself and in that. But, you know, there definitely were times too where it's tough, you know, like they got drafted, they got, you know, picked first, like they were, you know, like there's a mental aspect to that. But I would say staying balanced, something really important for like me as a player personally is like doing things socially outside of soccer that make me feel like a normal human being and not just like a soccer machine. And so like I was really lucky. I really lucked out. Like the girls here, my teammates are so awesome, and I just gelled with all of them right away. And so getting to do things with the team, and like I think our 3rd week of preseason, we went down to Florida just to train in a little bit nicer weather because it was really cold here. And we were going out we had a lot of time to ourselves after training, so we're going out to dinner, we're going to the beach, and a lot of things that are a good bonding experience and good balance and time away from soccer. So that's always really helpful for me to keep perspective on things and not get so in my head about training. And then the other thing I like with a little bit more focus on the actual training, something my dad said to me a long time ago and that I've just always kind of stuck with, and that he's reiterated to me, when I've gone through a little bit of rough patch or whatnot, is like as an athlete or in most things in life, like you're never going to be at your best all the time. Like there's 20% of the time you're going to be having your best performances. You're going to feel like you're at the top of your game. 20% you're going to feel like you're not doing it. You're going to feel like crap. You're just not going to feel great. And then that 60% in the middle is what really counts. And that's where you have to like show yourself. And that's what people are going to see the most often. And that's what really matters. So don't dwell on the low parts. Don't get too high on the high parts, and focus on like that 60%, what you're bringing to the table every single day. And that sort of, and I mean, the percentages are going to vary. That's not obviously like a hard 20-26. Not an exact formula, but that general idea of like, if I was having a rough day, I'm not getting in my head like, oh my God, like this is just how they think that I am all the time. Like they think I'm a terrible player. Like they think that I'm not good enough to be here, whatever. Like focusing on, no, this is just part of my 20%. This is a natural dip. And recognizing too that like the coaches know that A, you're a human being, you're not going to be at your best all the time. And B, that like everybody, especially somebody who's coming in on like a kind of a crazy situation, like a nervous situation, is going to have those days where they're just not feeling great. So it's about like the quality of that bigger portion of your body of work. And that's where you got to live. And that's where you got to like really keep your focus, is not on those low points, not on the super high points, is that 60% in the middle.
I think you
got the TED Talk going.
I know. I'm like going back 5 minutes. I think I love it. I think that when you were talking about like off the field stuff, and so as a coach, and even looking at it, you have a player that's coming in, and you're an invitee, and not. But look at like as if you look at who got signed by the NWSL. A lot of field player invitees got signed, and some drafted players didn't, and and so on and so forth. So I think that you're right to say, hey, we're all on equal footing here. Everybody still has to sign a contract. But number two, when you're looking at it from a perspective, for me, as how is this person meshing with the team? Period. Like, if you're not going to be the starting goalkeeper and you're on the bench, what kind of a personality are you? What are you bringing to the team? Are you a positive person? Are you meshing with the other girls on the bench and the people that are playing and the other goalkeepers? And it's really important. It really is. Because if you're not like a part of that, if you're like on your own island, then is that, and I have 2 equal goalkeepers, what do I want? I need the person that's going to uplift the team as well. And it is a factor. It's not just about your performance on the field. It's not.
Totally.
It's definitely an interesting experience, Liv, for yourself. Obviously you were a highly recruited player, collegiately, and then obviously, once you entered the transfer portal, you were also highly sought out as well, too. Because it's a similar almost situation where now you're kind of like going on as a walk-on to college, So did you talk to, any friends of yours who may have had gone through that experience of being a walk-on in college to try to get the perspective?
I didn't, but in the same, like I was pretty highly recruited in the transfer portal and all of that, but like being a sort of walk-on was also not a new experience for me, because I went through that a lot when I was a kid, and I went through that a lot in club. Like my first ECNL team ever, they told me right off the bat, like, you're probably not going to see the field very much, because they had this other goalkeeper that was like the bee's knees, and like she was just the next great thing. And like she and I ended up like she and I are still good friends actually, which was really funny. But like so like there were plenty of times and plenty of people throughout my youth career in particular that told me, like, oh well, you're gonna have to work for it, and you're gonna have to work for a spot, and nothing's like, I didn't have a lot handed to me prior to like, and I don't know that I ever had things really handed to me, but yeah, like this, it, as much as it was maybe a situation I hadn't been in a long time, it definitely was not completely foreign to me in terms of, not being the cream of the crop, top sought out, like, here's a spot for you person.
Yeah, but we see a lot of people that have actually had everything handed to them and have, every single team they played for, they're the best, and that's all they hear. And then they go into a pro environment and you're not. Yeah. And everybody on the team is, hey, you're the best. And now, learning how to fight for that spot, going in with that in your arsenal already is huge. It's like, look, I've already had to deal with this, and so everybody knows, like when I went to go play pro in Japan, there was a big like draft and everything, but it wasn't a draft. It was like everybody went and was playing games and trying out, and the Japanese teams were watching, and I didn't get picked up because, like I said, they only had a couple spots and they wanted field players. And one of the field players that the team I eventually played for picked up didn't want to move to Japan, and then I got called, but I didn't go at first. And what was your reaction at first? You're like, I'm on a plane to go train at TKI with Jill Lloyd, and until I figure out where I'm going to go, I got a one-way ticket instead of going home and sulking. You're like, no. I got to be ready because a call might come, and a call came.
Yep, for sure.
And I want to bring that up, like, kind of as we kind of get into today's topic, which is just going on trial, just in general for any players out there. Liv, one of the things that I see a lot of times when people go on trial is that they kind of play themselves out of a roster spot. So, like, what are some of the common mistakes that you've seen, young players make, when they go on trial, or even yourself?
I think it's so easy to let your nerves get the better of you and being in a whole new environment and looking around and questioning whether or not you actually belong there, and like whether or not you're good enough to be there. And then it just starts this vicious cycle of, I'm doubting myself, so then I'm not playing well, I'm not performing well. And then because I'm not performing well, then I'm doubting myself even more, and just like running yourself around in circles. And I think that's a place where it's good to put into perspective that, like, everybody there was a rookie at one point or another. Everybody there was, has gone through that, where it's like, okay, like, it's a step up. It's a step up for everybody, even the best players. Like, it's going to be a step up in level. And so giving yourself a little bit of grace is really important, because I've seen girls that like had stellar college careers go into a pro environment and just really struggle because they're so hard on themselves. And again, I think they're just like, they're not used to kind of like what you're talking about, Saskia, where it's like, they're not used to walking into a team environment and not being the best player there. They just don't know how to handle it. So I think, just giving yourself grace and recognizing that, it's going to be hard. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. Like, you can totally get there.
I think one of the mistakes I've seen made, and even at the college level stuff, is that constant need for affirmation, that constant need, like when you're not doing well, but it's that need, like, and there's a difference between talking to a coach and asking, like, what am I doing wrong? Help guide me here. And that constant whining need for like support and affirmation, or when you mess up, letting everybody know, you messed up and stuff. It's like, move on. Yeah. And I don't want to be a coach that has to hold your hand. By the way, I'm a really nice coach. I don't want to be babying you. Like, no, it's okay you shanked the punt. It's okay you did this. Stop. Move on. I know you're going to make mistakes. And I think a lot of when players aren't playing well, they search for that. And it's like, I can't, I have 22 other players on the field. I have 5 other goalkeepers or 4 other goalkeepers. I can't do this, Yeah.
100%.
I mean, you brought up a really good point right there, Saskia, in regards to like all these other responsibilities. Like, Liv, I don't know about you, but like I get in my head and I start thinking that everyone is focused on me. Everyone's focused on me. They're worried about like the lunch order at home,
oh yeah,
where the trainer is for taping somebody's ankle. Like, there's so many other things outside of when the glove shipment comes. Like, there's so many other things that are going on.
Oh, my favorite is when they come in, it's like something in training, and it's like, well, when this happened and that happened, what did you? And I'm like, you know what? I did not see it. Like you know,
I don't remember. Yeah,
it was the 1,000 shot of the session. Like, don't remember it. Sorry. Like,
100%.
Get out of your head.
Yeah. And like something you said, Saskia, that actually I just like rings a bell, and like I've definitely noticed is like letting other people know that you messed up. Like that's just not helpful. For like that's I've found myself, like I catch myself in that pattern because like you get frustrated, and especially when you're at a point where you're trying to prove yourself and prove that you can play at this other level. Like, oh, is this training footage? Sick.
It is.
Yeah. So
don't point out that you messed up.
Oh yeah. I'll point out all the parts where I messed up. No. I think it's really important though. For me especially, I've found like, I just get in this rabbit hole where I'm like, okay, I'm trying to like prove like that I know that this is not good enough, or I know this is not the standard, but then I'm focusing on all the wrong things, and I am not then focusing on the feedback that I'm getting. And I'm just gonna do worse. Like it's just, again, it's another vicious cycle that it's so easy to get caught up in. But letting everybody know that you're pissed off, that you missed a rep or that you messed up is just so counterproductive, and it's just so much more helpful to be neutral and focus on like the positive feedback that you're getting on how to fix it. So
yeah.
I wanted to pull this up right here, Liv. I was going to pull out you making a mistake, and you pointing it out. No, I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to do that. I was going to point out just kind of like, obviously, this is in the environment right now. First off, shout out to Sergio for sending all this footage. Really, really awesome of you for doing that. It's amazing. It's amazing, Liv. I was like, hey, Liv is coming on the show. I was wondering if you happen to have a couple actions of hers. He's like, oh, I got he's like, I'll send you a WeTransfer with like 4 gigabytes worth of actions. I'm like, well, I don't think we have long enough for that, but like, I'll throw them when we can. So first off, one of the things that I've noticed in the professional environment is just the focus on, just specifics and detail, things such as like prep touch. So like kind of walk us through what's going on right here, because it seems like it's all about clean
It is not
prep
clear,
touch
Mike.
and knowing where you're going to play the ball.
It's a little bit
it's not clear.
Image.
It's
I can
not
still
clear?
yeah.
You can't see it? It's not coming in?
Mike, I think you're still on like a delay sometimes, and the video is not clear.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just pop it. I'll pop it out then. All right. Never mind.
Yeah. But
we can discuss it.
For sure. So if you could, I was the one on the left. I was receiving the ball, and then there's 3 servers moving across on the other side of that dummy wall. And that drill, we do that drill a fair amount actually. But it's just all about, it's got 2 balls going at any given time, and it's all about prep touch like you're talking about, and being intentional with that prep touch. And knowing exactly where you're going to go with the ball, because the pace of the game is so fast. So you just have to know where your options are, where you're going to be going with it before you even get it at your feet. And that's something I think even in that drill, I've made a lot of progress since I first got here, in just the quality and intentionality of my first touch, because of drills like that. And it's so crazy because like, it's not like when you get to like pro training sessions, it's not like we're doing all these crazy like rocket science of goalkeeping drills. It's all like the same basic things that you have been doing your whole career, but it's at that much higher pace, that much higher quality and level. So the details are so important, and like it's half a step, it's half a second, like everything, again, because it's so much faster, but it's all very detail oriented.
No, I love that. Look, I'm going to use one of Mike's lines. I love that you said that there. But it's true. We like people, I think, that don't really understand goalkeeping, and at the highest level, you're thinking it's a million cones and you're doing this and you're diving all over the place. Is that what no, that's not what you're doing. Like you're actually refining the tools you need every day, every game, repetitiveness, and this 1-2 touch and multiple balls going at a quicker pace and everything. It's not, jumping through hula hoops and over 5 people. It's not that.
And now, can you guys see this all? Is this coming through now?
Yeah, that's better.
Clear picture.
Okay. Okay, cool. So now, Liv, this is going a little bit to more shot-stopping actions here. And I noticed at the beginning of these reps right here, that you're having a little bit of an issue. You're having a little bit of a challenge, let's say, and struggling. Yeah. And then I noticed that Sergio makes some adjustments for you. And, you know, one thing I always say is that, you know, a pro is somebody that's willing to take that feedback and then make the adjustment. And now all of a sudden they're successful. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. This was funny. This was my first training session back after a few days off. So it was a re-entry day, and I was getting a little frustrated because, you know, as re-entry days go, sometimes, you know, you're just not seeing it quickly as normal. And these first few reps, that was awesome. But it's really Serge is great about giving really good concrete things that I can focus on that are positive options. It's not like, hey, don't do this, because then it's like, well, what am I supposed to do instead? Like, one thing that we've been talking about, and we talked about in this session, and we've been talking about for a while, especially as like a taller goalkeeper, is just keeping my chest and my weight forward in all of my movements, and how my head is going to be what leads all of my movements. And so if my head's forward, then my chest is forward, and my weight's going to be forward, and I'm going to be more balanced. So I think that's what he was probably telling me here, is just to keep my weight forward a little bit more. And that's a positive action, and kind of like how I was talking about not getting frustrated and just focusing on like the feedback and keeping myself a little bit more emotionally neutral, which is not always easy for me. But that's something that I can really grasp onto, and then like kind of clear my head of everything else in the reps, and just, okay, next rep, all I got to think about is head forward, chest forward. Like, that's it.
Yeah. So it's not a just a vague, big, hey, you know, make the save here.
Right.
It's like, okay, let's dumb this down a little bit, because it'll come. If your chest is forward, your body weight's forward, and you're just in the right position, and the energy is proper, then the save's going to come. Right. And so if you can kind of just focus on the smaller things in that, the rest follows it. And so, you know, for coaches out there and everybody, it's not just, hey, you have to make the save here. It's just, you know, you actually do have to break it down for goalkeepers. And it's good that that's for you if something's not going right. And I tell my goalkeepers this as well. If something's not going right, just do the little thing, do the simplest movement properly, and the rest will come. You know, whether that's your footwork is off, your balance is off, you're not getting two hands to the ball. Break it down a little bit, and everything else will follow in suit. And so it's good that, you know, you're able to do that instead of getting in your head saying, why am I not holding the ball, or why am I not doing this? It's like, well, let me just focus on this.
Yeah. You know, one of the things, Liv, that I noticed is that there were a few moments in within all of these where you were having some trouble handling the ball, and I saw kind of your face kind of get frustrated with like, that wasn't a clean handle type of thing, and you were focused on that. But then there was the next action type of a thing. And when you just kind of let it go and go like, okay, that wasn't the cleanest handle, but what would I do in a game if that ball wasn't handled cleanly? I have to deal with the second action.
Yeah, definitely. And Serge will say sometimes too, he'll be like, okay, it's 3 separate movements in a drill, or 3 separate actions. And that's a helpful way to think about things too. Cause you're exactly right. Like in a game, if you bobble a ball or you give a bad rebound, like, you can't sit and sulk about it or get pissed at yourself, because the seconds that you're doing all that, like, ball's in the back of the net. So it's helpful to think about it in training too, as like 3 separate actions, or in that case, 2 separate actions, and that are independent of each other. You know, you're moving between them, but you got to consider them separate from each other. Otherwise, they're just going to be a mess.
And that's the reality, though, because we see that happen at the highest level, right? Okay, so let's take a corner kick or something like that, for example. You took a step forward when you should have held and waited and then gone. So you missed your first initial action to get the cross. So now what are you going to do? You're going to be like, oh, no, I should have gone. So then what we see a lot of goalkeepers do is still try to go, right? So now you're behind the ball and you get beat, right? Or are you saying, okay, what's my next action here? I didn't do what I was supposed to do in the first action, time this properly, but my next action is to drop into the goal and be ready for the header or something like that, and their next play, because that's the next logical solution. It's not trying to make up for the bad action or sulk about it. You're right, because in a game, you didn't do this, but what do I always say, Mike? Don't follow one mistake by another mistake.
Yeah.
Right?
Have you said that on air yet? Have you said that on air on TV yet?
I have. Not on TV, I haven't. But there were a couple instances this weekend I could have.
I want to talk about
one down. Hold on.
Liv, I want to talk about this, and the only thing I can think of, I apologize everybody with the Wi-Fi issues. technical issues. I think the only thing I can think of is Sergio gave me such big files, and it's such high quality video footage
It's awesome.
that the stream can't handle it because it's like 4K. Like where you're like, because like on my end, I can see like literally like every little piece of lint on the jersey, and on your guys' end, it's all blurry. It looks like I'm using a filter for artistic purposes. I want to bring this up, Liv, because I want to talk about the negative or positive effect that the environment can lead to on a trial. I think a lot of people can go into an environment and based on let's just say how much they mesh, the chemistry, they can either be successful or not successful. And I know you've seen that on both sides. I want you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I don't know why my AC unit is so loud. If you're getting feedback, let me know. But anyway, yeah, no, I mean, I think we talked about it actually last time I was on the podcast, just how the environment can influence your performance. And Saskia, I think you talked about like in your last few years in the league, going to a different team and having such a positive experience and that translating to playing on the field. I feel so lucky because, any team could have called me, but like racing was the one that called me. And I've gelled so well with the girls. I've gelled so well with the staff. And I do feel like that has translated into my performance. Like, I feel like since being here, I've grown so much as a player and I've gotten so much better. And I feel like I'm playing it better than I've ever played in my whole career. And a big part of that is because I feel very like supported, and I feel like the staff, even when I was not on contract, really wanted the best for me and really was taking interest in my development as a player. And the girls were all great and so supportive. And I enjoy going to training every day. And that's a huge factor.
And you look at players in the league that have been in the league for a long time. And now all of a sudden you're like, all right, like take Simone Charlie or somebody like now all of a sudden you're like, where did this person come from?
Yep.
But I've said it so many times, they weren't in the right space for them. They weren't on the right teams before, and they found a home now, whether it's Angel City, whether it's, San Diego, wherever you are. All of a sudden you have a player that's been in the league for like 5 years and they're starting and they're scoring goals, or they're amazing goalkeeper, amazing defender. And you're like, where's this person been? They just weren't in the right environment for themselves. They weren't thriving. And that happened to me in Philly. And then when I moved to New York, I was in the right environment. It's where I wanted to be. And so it's a challenge. It doesn't always fit. Same with college, as you know.
100%. Yes, I do.
Yeah, and bringing that up too, Saskia, I think one of the things that for any coaches out there listening to this, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Saskia, being involved at the highest levels of the collegiate game, is that you need to treat all your goalkeepers equally, whether they're there on scholarship, whether they're there as walk-ons or whatever, because they're going to sense that energy. They're going to sense that energy if you're looking at them as like, oh, you're just here because we need another
You never
body.
know what you have. Like if you take UCLA, for example, and my first year at UCLA, I mean, Adalia was a walk-on, and she became our number 2 goalkeeper behind Lauren. And, had anybody walked into that situation, and maybe the goalkeeper coach before me walked in like, oh, well, you're a walk-on. You're like our utility goalkeeper. She's an amazing goalkeeper for Venezuela's national team. She thrived if you put her in the right environment and stuff. She became the number 2 goalkeeper over scholarship goalkeepers. You never know what you have. You have to treat everybody equally. You have to.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a great point. And I saw that Liv put herself on mute because she recognized her her AC unit.
I don't know. I can't. Anyway, hopefully.
Oh no, trust me, it's not as bad as Saskia used to have this.
Oh, whatever.
She used to have this fan, and it would just be like.
Or I used to have, every time we had a podcast, the gardeners would come.
Oh, the gardeners.
And that blower. And I would always say, if I could make a blower that didn't make noise, I'd be a billionaire. The blower. And I'm like, sorry, Mike, it's every time.
I want to bring this up. I was going to show some more footage from training, but I am scared to put that on the screen because I feel like everyone's just going to blur if we do that. So I want to show some actions of yours from the collegiate game. because I think these were some really successful actions. Are they popping up right there?
Very
Perfect.
intrigued.
You're very intrigued on what I chose here.
Yeah, I'm like,
So we were talking about at the professional level, Liv, obviously how important prep touch is, scanning, making those types of decisions. So what I want to kind of share with first off right here is this a clip, and people are going to be like, this is not the most exciting clip whatsoever, but it's just a pass back to you. It's a prep touch forward, and then it's a scan recognizing first you're looking high, it looks like, to see if the player's on. You realize that's not on. Then you're looking to break lines. That's not available. So it's just a simple pass to Cameron Price. Just great awareness, great confidence, great control. Why don't you talk about why this is so important?
I mean, the first thing that I would say in terms of why this is important is patience. I think a lot of times goalkeepers get the ball back at our feet and we're like so antsy, and like I do this all the time too. Like it's so easy to get really amped up, but especially, I mean, they're not pressing me at all. And so I have so much time. And if there's not an immediate like counterattack or an immediate break or something that's like just this bang and pass that's like right gonna close down, sometimes it's so valuable to just like sit and be patient and wait for things to open up, because defenders move, your teammates move, make runs and whatnot. And it also too just gives people a second to like, gives people a beat to just chill, relax, catch their breath if they need to. And also the best pass isn't always the most difficult pass. So
yeah, and I also think like, especially at the pro game and even at the higher college game, you have to realize that the other team and us commentators, everybody knows when you're uncomfortable getting the ball back, and that, you know, that's in game prep. And you know, you're gonna say, listen, Liv gets the ball back, she's really antsy on the ball, she's trying to make quick decisions, because this is hypothetical, this is not what you're doing. It's like trying to make quick decisions to get the ball out from under her feet. So let's wait on it. Let's kind of like be a sniper, or let's just go press her. So to show that you have confidence on the ball dictates what the other team's going to do. Guys, if we're going to go press her, she's just going to pass around us. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time.
Right. And
so to establish that as a goalkeeper is super important, because I'm always like, I'm in my game notes even for this weekend. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, San Diego high presses right now on every goal kick, because last game it was suspect, you know.
100%.
Just
you know, I want to just a hypothetical example. I do want to bring this up, Liv, for any college players that are watching this right now. I think it's so important, and Liv, you know, you can add on to this if you agree. If you disagree, please feel free to add on as well too. But for that, if you have this type of patience and confidence at the collegiate game, if you don't have it at the collegiate game, at the pro game, they're going to be on top of you all, and it is a goal. By the time, you know, if you're nervous here with all this space and you're not confident spacing, when the game is that much faster, you're done with, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and like we played plenty of small-sided in training, and like there have been days where like I'm pretty comfortable with my feet in the small-sided game, and I still like forwards will still press the crap out of me, press the hell out of me, and it's still really fast. And so you got to just trust your feet, trust your decision making, but like you better know, unless you've got hours of time like I did on this ball, like you better know where you better know where you're going with that ball. So
I know that field.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the next action. That's the next action we're going to. Liv is also familiar with this field as well too. So I tried to show some actions and the reasons, Liv, why you are a professional. And by that, I don't mean just as a professional in regards to from an athletic standpoint, but a professional in regards to the way you handle scenarios, the way you see the pictures and you deal with them all the way through. And this is 43 minutes, first half at UCLA, as Saskia liked to point it out right there. Ball's flicked up around the middle of the 12 yards to Riley Turner. There's a chase and ball's headed down towards near post by Sophia Cook. I love just the footwork here of you. Just, I'm not going to take any chances. I'm moving my feet. I'm getting across, and I'm making sure that ball stays out of the net. Right.
Go back to the beginning again, and it's Raylan Turner. But go ahead.
Raylan Turner.
Go ahead.
Oh man, you know, I don't have an NWSL research team helping me out with pronunciation.
Well, I know it's a Raymond term because that was our coach. Go ahead.
I know.
Go ahead.
Right. Okay, so we'll start here. Boom, here's the flip.
But see, I think that, but this is what I was talking about. I think it's that immediate, like it's the first action followed by the second action. You could see that you kind of started to come and you're like, I'm not getting there.
Yeah.
And then, so what am I going to do now? Am I still going to try to get there, which would have been a mistake? Or am I going to get myself back in a position and ready for the inevitable header?
Yeah.
And that's what you do. You go, it's not going to happen. But you don't just say it's not going to happen and get stuck in cement.
Right.
You say it's not going to happen now. What's my next move? And that's professional.
Right. For sure. Well, and I think too, just like that situation illustrates pretty well, like you gotta know your strengths, because like athletically everybody's gonna have things that are stronger than others. And like for me, I do better a lot of the times with dropping in and backsetting and shot stopping, just because I'm long and I can cover a lot of the goal, and shot stopping is one of my strengths. I'm not as quick off the line as some other goalkeepers. So where some people might, like, you see this bouncing ball and it's really enticing, where some people might want to go. maybe for you that's a great decision, but for me that's not going to work out very well. So it's like I think being honest with yourself and knowing your strengths is a really, really important component.
I also think on another level for this, and we'll take it to whole pro level, is how dangerous is this ball actually if you do stop? It's a flicked up ball straight in the air, right? It's coming down. You're going to make this a debacle if you come for this, and it's going to be a dink right by you, as opposed to how much power is she actually going to get on this head ball? And, you can cover it and make the save. But these are the quick decisions that set you into being a professional and separate people from not being a professional.
Yep, that is the reason I was playing at the Santa Monica airport fields this weekend, because I came out on this ball this weekend, and this like 6'2" dude just dinked it right over me. And he was like, "Why does this 5'8" guy think that he can win this ball against me?" That was a poor decision.
It's a state of mind, Mike. You got
it. But you learn from your mistake.
Yeah.
But I want to also talk about, just from a decision standpoint, where's the danger here? The danger is the dangerous space, is that gap right there. So as long as you can cover that gap, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's just massive right there. I put a note here. Kids need to see this, because Liv, I think so many kids in this scenario right here, let alone, let's say they don't go for that ball, just right here. So right here, let's say they don't go for that ball starts bouncing. They stand there and they watch the ball go out of bounds. And a lot of times that ball actually bends in and goes in the goal. And then people are like, "Why didn't you go for that ball?" You're like, "Oh, I thought it was going out of bounds." I've heard that so many times from youth players.
Yeah, for sure.
I also think you'll see a lot of youth players come for this. And, they do the good old, okay, I shouldn't have come for this. Let me make it look like I might get the ball. And I hate to say it, we saw it on some corner kicks this past weekend, that you're catching the ball behind the person, or not, the person's beating you to the ball when you shouldn't have come at all. So if nobody can see this, go back and watch this. You'll understand what we're talking about.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I love that. Now, was that out of bounds, or did you got a touch to it, right?
I think it was out of bounds. But if we want to pad my stats and say I got a touch to it, then I'm all for it in hindsight.
It might be one of those things you act like you didn't.
Exactly. Yeah. There are plenty of those where it's like, it's a goal kick, and it was definitely not a goal kick. But good actor, I got away with a lot of those. So.
Oh my God.
I love that in training and stuff, because when you I would see goalkeepers make such a big save, but you weren't sure if they got the tip to the ball or anything, and they'd be like, "I got a tip." I'm like, "Great, because now you just told us it's a corner."
Right.
So,
yeah. In practice, that's cool. In a game against UCLA, when you're tied 0-0, not as cool. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's move on to this one right here. This is in the 73rd minute. Oh no, Sophia Cook's not happy with this. Okay, here we go. So this is against Stanford. This is, I think, honestly, another great example for a lot of young players to see in regards to calmness, being professional in the moment, and not panicking. Because if you panic, your team panics. In swinging corner kick in traffic by Ali Montoya. Plenty of air under this ball. You're very calm, and then you catch it. And Suska, I know you're a big proponent of this, at the highest point that you can catch that ball. You don't wait until the ball is down here. You catch it at the highest point. I want a lot of young players to see that. And then it's just a simple push out, clear out the box. Don't just try to start a counter really quickly, which I see a lot of young players do. They win that ball and then they throw it out there before their team's ready.
Yeah.
So let's go back to it.
I think the other thing that's really important about this, not just catching it, but it's owning that area, right? So now what's Stanford going to do after this? They're going to know that anything they flight inside the 6, lofted, you're going to have. Yeah. So but what you're doing is now changing how they have to take care of their offensive corner kicks. That means everything they have to do. Now you've made a statement. It's got to be outside of the 6. It's got to be driven. We can't flight the box. We can't flight it because it's a waste of a free kick. And so that is the bigger statement as well here. And that's professional. Like if you can own that area and dictate what the other team is doing offensively, then you're doing your job.
Yeah, for sure.
That's such a massive point right there, Saskia. Liv, I think, one of the things too. That's a
commentator right there. Yep.
You can actually say that now.
Get crazy.
Oh man. But Liv, one of the things here that I like too is that you recognize how much flight is under this ball. And because of that, you really take your time with that drop step, recognizing, hey, better to be farther back. And then I can just very simply just attack that ball right there. You also recognize that you have space to maneuver. So many young players act as if there's 4 players literally on top of them in this scenario. And they're boxing the ball or whatever. You're like, oh no, I have space to maneuver. I have space to move around.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm so hypercritical. I think I could have maybe even gotten this a little bit higher. And I think maybe started, Aren't you
at the crossbar? You got it like the crossbar.
Yeah, but I'm tall. I reach up there. But no, I fully agree. And it's funny that you bring up like dominating the 6 and like thinking about what the other team's going to think and how they adjust their attacking corners now, because like one of my goals in college was always, you had scouting report the day before on a team, and they'll talk about a lot of times the opposing team's goalkeeper and weaknesses or strengths that they may have. Maybe they're good with their feet, maybe they have long distribution, maybe they're not good on crosses, whatever. And I always was like, I want the scout on me to be that we can't flight anything into the box, because I just always wanted to dominate that area. So that was always, I don't know if that ever actually happened, but that was always something that I had in the back of my mind.
No, but it's important because you want, through your quality of play, want to dictate that, and that's a win
for sure.
And one of the reasons that I wanted to show these different types of actions here, because these are all, they might look like these are basic activities in these scenarios that are going on right here, but this is what gets you, for young players out there listening, this is what gets you to that professional level, is that attention to detail on the little things. It's not the top corner save, as Saskia always says. It's about that clean footwork, handling this ball nice and clean. Liv, this is the reason why you got the trial and ultimately the contract, is because doing these sorts of little things. And so let's move on here. So now this is, as you clear out right there. All right, here we go. So this is against Oregon State, 13th minute. The ball's thrown in from the sidelines of the 18 to McKenna Martinez, who dribbles towards the top of the box with Chase. Shot is hit. It takes a deflection, it looks like to me. And it seems to me that you recognize that the ball is bending away. So you just redirect the shot rather than trying to hold this and just play it into a good area right there. And it's just a slight redirect. It's not even like you're trying to like smash the ball, because the ball already has movement on it.
For sure.
So I want to kind of just start right here again. So everyone can see. Ball's thrown in, the dribble, shot is hit, boom.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think also professionally, again, going to the next level, is how many keepers do we see that parry this literally into the wrong area?
Yeah.
So if you do not just get a light touch to let it go out for a corner here, that ball is tipped right back to, what is that, number 8?
Yeah,
or whatever.
And then if I try to hold it and I bobble it, I think it's like number 27 right here. And she ends up like stepping over on top of me almost. Where
there's That's the only place other than holding the ball. It's the only place you could put it, but you're totally outstretched. So it's a good redirection. And that, yes, I like as a coach, you're looking at, you're like, you know, it would infuriate me if it's like, okay, well, great outstretch, but you just put the ball back onto the top of the 6 and you just got it banged into the back of the net.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's a great point. I also live one of the things I want to bring up as well too here is that because that ball's bending away from you right there, I think a lot of goalkeepers, you're stepping forward and you're attacking this space to make sure that you get a touch to that ball. I've seen so many goalkeepers here go negative, and then they end up just playing that ball. Is it 2 hands? Do you go 2 hands?
She goes 2 hands.
Yeah, I got 2 hands on it.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I know. Full extension.
But 2 hands are huge because you get more momentum and power through your energy of your body. Go 1 hand, you might not get to this ball.
Yeah, or get enough on it. Yeah, for sure.
Did somebody take a picture of you like this, full stretched out like that?
That would have been sick. I wish. No. I've been cool. But yeah, no, in terms of attacking the ball, and that's something still like, again, going back to like, it's not rocket science. It's just still the details at the pro level. Like that's something that's huge because the ball is coming so much faster even than in the college game. And the shots are quicker, the release is quicker. And like the power on the ball, if you're not meeting it out in front of you, a lot of the time it's going in the goal. Even if you get a hand on it, if your hand's behind you when you get a touch to it, it's hit with too much power. It's going to be in the back of the net. So that's still something that, you know, is very much discussed at trainings that I'm in now. So
no, it's 100% correct.
You know, I mean, and Sasuke, I'm sure you can attest to this since you've played at this level. I have not. You have played at this level. Is that if you go sideways, the ball is literally going so much faster than you. By the time you make contact with the ball, you're going backwards.
Yeah, but if you're not attacking it and going forward here, I don't even know if some goalkeepers would reach the ball. It would hit side netting because you're too flat, and the arc of the ball bending away from you into that side net would beat you. Yeah. It's just it's angles.
Yeah,
it's closer to you if you attack it and go forward.
Geometry.
Yeah. It's geometry.
Goalkeeping's all about geometry.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm all right. I'm removing that from the stream right there. Again, everybody, I apologize for the Wi-Fi issues that there was. Videos, if it was blurry, please let me know. I will send you guys the hard copy. We want everyone to be able to watch these at quality. Liv, kind of as we start wrapping everything up, what kind of advice would you give to any sort of young players, you know, going on trial, like before they go on trial? Like, what should be kind of like their game plan? What bullet points do they specifically have lined up for themselves?
I would say big thing, and this is again something that like we talked about last time I was on the podcast, like have a plan. So like if you know, okay, I'm going on trial in 3 weeks or a month or even a week, whatever, have a solid plan outlined of like, okay, these are things that I want to accomplish, and make it reasonable. Don't be like, I want to be the best in the world with my feet by the time I get to whatever my trial is. Right. Like, it needs to be reasonable, but do things that are going to make you feel your most confident and your most prepared before you go in. Because, you know, you're going into a new training environment where you might not have as much control over your circumstances. And so it's really important to feel at your best by the time you get in there. And that was what I was doing. Really, I didn't know what I was training for at the time when I went out there, but that's what I was doing when I went to TKI. Is I was like, I know that this is the best training that I can get, and that's where I need to be. And so that was a huge component for me, was feeling like I was most prepared by being in that environment and training in that environment every day before I got out here to Louisville. And then also to something that Jill said to me with regard to Jill Lloyd, and that runs the Keeper Institute, with regard to just being like a pro in general.
This place right here. This place right here.
Look at that. So shout out to Jill, but she said to me with regard to, you know, just being a rookie and being a pro in general, and something that we kind of talked about, but it definitely applies when you're going on trial, is having things outside of soccer that make you happy, that you can rely on, because soccer, like we're talking about, like soccer's gonna be up and down. There's so many things that are out of your control, out of your circumstances, and you're a human being. You're gonna have bad days on the pitch, and like that's so natural, but you cannot expect to like maintain your mental health and sustain your mental health if all of your eggs are in that basket and you have nothing else that your happiness is riding on besides your performance and training. So that I think would be another huge thing. And also just remember, I mean, like, you got invited in on a trial for a reason, and it's because somebody saw something in you. So don't doubt yourself. You know, go in with confidence, and the worst thing that happens is you end up back in the boat that you were in before you started. So yeah,
that's a great point. You know, Liv, you know, and Saskia, you know, I think one of the things that I think a lot of young players, you know, don't even think about, and I know I've made this mistake before, is that it's not a favor that you're there. Like, they've got so many, like, they want you to be good, because that makes their job easier. That means that makes their decisions more difficult, or, you know, it solves a problem that they have. You're a solution to a problem they may have.
Yeah, I think another good thing is don't try to go in there to be somebody else. Like, you know, and you're not going in to be Casey Murphy. You're not going in to be, you know, Caitlin Sheridan. You're going in there, and you were brought in because of tools that you have that they might not have and stuff. And so, you know, be confident in that, learn, but don't go in there saying, I have to be just like this person because that's what they like. It doesn't work that way.
For sure.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I want to bring up with this is because obviously, if we're talking about youth players, as we start wrapping up here,
I was saying other goalkeepers.
any of the goals,
any of the keepers.
Yeah. You were just using examples just off the top of your head. Right. So all of you, please don't not come on the show anymore. No. Anyway, I do want to talk about just the fact that, Saskia, you know, you've been in the youth environment, you've seen the trials, you've been in the college environment as well too. Like, how can parents help youth players prepare for a tryout, especially when we're talking about like the club game? Like, what can they do?
Well, first of all, if you're going to ask me how parents can help you in the pro, I'd be like, don't.
No, there's been enough conversations about that.
Stay out of it.
And by the way, for anyone who thinks that I'm just talking about it seems to be in the men's game, in the women's, it seems to be
everywhere.
all over the self. So that's a whole other conversation.
Stay out of it. Don't call. You know, the parent doesn't need to be calling the coach or the GM or tweeting about it or doing anything. You look like a crazy soccer parent. Like, and that adds that for me. As a coach, if I have two goalkeepers that are equal and I got to deal with that on the outside, I'm going to go with the other goalkeeper. And so, like, stay out of it. As far as prep in club and everything is, you know, listen, you know, reach out, listen to your coaches, you know, just get as much knowledge as you can. But at a certain level, you're going to have to step off. You got to step back. You know, set them up for success, make sure they have the right training environments and nutritionists and mental health, if that's what your players need, and enough break and outside resources, and they go on vacation and they get to swim with dolphins and they get to do a ton of other stuff to make them like a well-rounded person. But after that, wipe your hands of it. Yeah. Nobody's calling your boss at work.
Very good point.
That's a really good point.
Mom, you had a bad day today? Let me talk to your CEO.
Yeah. I'm on the phone.
How amazing, Liv, would that be if, like, you called like your parents' boss?
Yeah.
And why is my mother upset today?
Yeah, my mom's a judge. I call the presiding judge of Alameda County. That'd be crazy.
And I think, you know, one of the things I also want to add in regards to all of that from I've seen at the youth environment in regards to like what parents can do with the tryout is, like, I've seen so many parents consistently bring up the tryout, or like, hey, you need to train tomorrow because you have this tryout the next day or whatever, as opposed to just like, and they psych the kids out of it, or they make them think it's more important than it is, type of a thing, as opposed to just being encouraging and just kind of letting it go. And Liv, I know that your parents have been extremely supportive, but also hands off and letting you go through your journey. And that's why I bring it up. So
yeah, my parents have been great. And I mean, I'm so fortunate because, you know, not only are they awesome people who are just like intuitive about that kind of thing, but obviously, like, my dad was a professional athlete, like he climbed the ranks. So like, he just has that added perspective on, you know, when it's time to reach in and help from time to time. And, as I've gotten older, thankfully that's been less and less. But then also too, when, it's time for them to be hands off and let me do my own thing and figure things out for myself. So I've been so fortunate with them being there for me from day one. So
well, we saw that even in your ability to say, hey, I need the best environment for myself. I'm going to go to Jersey on a one-way ticket to set myself up, instead of some parents would be like, well, can't you find a trainer here? And can't you be home? And can't you do this? And can't you do that? And, we'll find you the best. No, you were given the freedom enough to realize exactly what you needed and and say, go, do it,
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a great point. And I think, the last thing I want to say on the whole parent thing, and again, this could be an entire episode. And it's only, and I look, I don't want to get on a soapbox here, but it's only getting worse. It seemed to be in the youth game, and now I'm seeing it in the professional game over and over again with parents. So I don't know what's in the water right now. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I think it's because they have platforms to say stuff. Like, I think where before we didn't know if the parent was bothering the coach over a phone call, now you just post it, or like, it's not doing anybody any good. So don't call the other judge. Don't call the CEO. So.
Let it be.
Yeah, and that's another point too. Just anonymously, I heard a college recruiter, once somebody was bringing up a goalkeeper to them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's such an amazing, great goalkeeper, mom." Yep, mom, and then they just rolled their eyes. They're like, "All right, well that's."
Yeah, no, I've been there. I've been there. It's, do we want to deal with the parent?
Yeah.
So sad.
Well, Liv, we're excited about your journey. This is only starting out. Shout out to Sergio, obviously, for sending the tape, because I got the chance to watch, I think, 45 minutes of training footage of you. So a good amount.
Stuff, yeah.
It was riveting stuff.
Oh, no, it's awesome.
I just hope I'm planning on calling you on one of your games.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll put it out there.
There we go.
Love it. Yeah.
On the way. There we go. You got to put it out into the universe. But I mean, exactly. Like, just, such an awesome journey, from where you are right now in regards to that. If people want to connect with you, directly, I know that you've got a Union profile, so I know people can DM you over there. What is that handle?
I believe it's Liv Sekany. I will double check on that, but I'm pretty sure it's Liv Sekany, because I'm pretty much Liv Sekany or Liv_Sekany on every platform. So
yeah. And Saskia is like Ronaldo on the Union. She's at Saskia. Like, it's not, there's no Saskia Weber. Just at Saskia. Nope. Just the one name. Every other platform, she's at Saskia_Weber.
Well, but my name is like Kim. You couldn't just put Kim.
Emily, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like kind of a unique name, so I get away with it.
That's true. And by the way, guys, if you have no idea what we're talking about, maybe you're watching the show for the first time or listening to the podcast for the first time, the Union Goalkeeper Community, it is a free app out there. Engage with a bunch of different people who are like-minded, like yourself, away from the vitriol of social media. And if you want to be featured on the podcast, we are featuring once a month. We're featuring one person from the Union community on the actual podcast. And shout out to Aiden Hanchett. He was our first a couple weeks ago, and we're going to have somebody else this week. It might be you if you start engaging on the platform. You never know. You just go to the Union GK on Google Play or Apple stores, and you can find it, or the unionsports.com on the websites. If you want to reach out to us, contact is at Goalkeeper Podcast for a guest or topic suggestion on the Union app, or contact at InsideThe18media.com. if you like to do it the traditional way, which is through email. Liv, really excited for this. I can't wait to see. Congratulations once more on getting this opportunity. I mean, I think the first time we connected, you were 15, 16. So what a journey.
Yep. Crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's awesome.
It is cool. Super cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, considering our last podcast.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Could take you. So yeah.
I mean, it was such perfect timing too. I was like, oh my gosh, here it's the sequel. It's the sequel to the podcast that we did at convention. Yeah. Like showing the documentary, like the beginning, middle, and the end type of thing. It's not the end, the end of the beginning. The end of the beginning.
Chapter 1. Many more chapters.
Saskia, what are your next games? If anybody wants to make sure to check them out.
What do I have? I have the Challenge Cup on the 19th, and then I have after that the 28th. So I'll put them up on. I'll put them up and everything. But yes, so.
Cool. And if anybody's going to be in August in Edinburgh, Scotland, I'll be out there at the Fringe Comedy Festival. If you want to find out more, go to michaelmagidcomedy.com. Look at that. Yes, my first time in Scotland. I've never been to Scotland before. Never been to the United Kingdom. So if somebody wants to teach me how to drive on the other side of the road before, that would be
scary.
Actually, probably shouldn't do that in the United States. That's probably not a good idea.
Maybe wait till you get over.
Yeah, maybe wait till I get over there. All right, guys, that's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys.